A year and a half ago, a video was made about who I believe to be the worst basketball parents in sports, Jamie Newman. At that time, a 19-year-old Alvini Linguine made some decent points in a 6-minute video simply telling my thoughts on the subject that I found interesting, as a lot of people seem to adore him and his son Julian, who is one of the more infamous people in the basketball social media world. The video I am referring to has over 1.5 million views and a flood of comments with people either agreeing with me or condemning me for talking about someone's life or how someone should raise their child. After watching my own video, I can admit that some of the stuff I had said was probably said in poor taste, as I haven't developed my video making skills to what it is now. So in this video, I feel like it is my right to give Mr. Jamie Newman a fair shake in this remastered video of my original worst basketball father video with your boy, Alvini Linguine. However, in this video, I'll be going over the good he has done as a sports dad and the bad he has done as a sports dad. Now, I know that most of the things I will say might be opinionated, so leave all your thoughts that you have in the comments as I go over the acts of the great value version of LeVar Ball in an objective manner to end the Newman legacy on my channel. With all that out of the way, let's try to hit the like goal of 5,000 likes to cap off the legacy of the Newman family saga, as this will be my last video speaking on this subject, and to get myself out of this algorithm pit so we can grow as a channel. Also, subscribe if you are new if you want to check out more interesting basketball content on the channel, and just like last time, the Newman playlist will be in the pinned comment and in the description so you can watch all the other videos if you choose. With this long intro out of the way, you already know who it is. Roll it!
He incurred an injury dealing with weights in the weight room, so he's stitched up in the left hand doing all this.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
In all controversial things in this world, there are usually some good things within it. So in this case, let's talk about the good things Jamie Newman has done for his family. Now, even though we like to call him the off-brand version of LeVar Ball, and even though it's true, Jamie Newman has done the most he can do for the most part. He himself wasn't blessed genetically to give his kids superior genes, but what he did give Julian, and I guess Jaden if she even plays basketball anymore, is a masterful work ethic. Since they were young, you can see the type of workouts they do to compensate for their height to compete with and against taller competition, which in the end they both did in their own way, as Julian has scored over 4,000 points in his high school career that started at 10 years old, and for Jaden, well, we'll get to that later. Jamie Newman also knew how to publicize his kids through putting them on many shows when they were kids and labeling them as prodigies, which is just a fancy way to say gifted child. And with the skills they had at a very young age, it was safe to say that they'd stay over their competition for years to come. However, for one of them in particular, that was far away from the actual truth. Through all this marketing of his kids by putting them on platforms like the Conan O'Brien Show, Good Morning America, Ellen, Fox Sports, The Steve Harvey Show, and even on Sports Illustrated, for kids. Oh, you thought this was the real Sports Illustrated? Fuck no. Anyways, Jamie was able to continuously market his kids, and through that he was met with a gold mine that is called the big sports media companies that would come to his sons and sometimes his daughters' games to record them for even more exposure online. With that, he created his old clothing brand called Prodigy to bank in on the internet fame him and his kids brought in for profit. Even now, you could say they're gaining more as a family, as they have their own reality TV show on Overtime and Snapshit. Again, as much bad as he's done that we'll get into in a little bit, you cannot argue that there is some good that he has done also. Training his kids despite the obvious disadvantage Julian and even Jaden would have height-wise. Doesn't matter as much for Jaden because women's basketball. Let me stop there. Making money through the internet fame and the marketing he has done for them. Now, of course, just as the video states, I still think he is the worst basketball dad, and yes, I'm aware there are probably worse ones out there that aren't mainstream, but unlike last time, I won't just say a few things and leave. Ladies and gentlemen, meet who I think is the worst basketball father, Jamie Newman. Now again, it is safe to say that he has done a lot of good for his family and kids, but I will give a disclaimer and say that all the stuff I will mention from this point on is based more on morality than actually being bad. In my original video, people claim me of being butthurt or jealous for the situation they are in compared to me, which I'm not, that's kind of petty, for the sole reason of me talking about what I found wrong about what Jamie Newman does, in my opinion of course. So again, before we start, just a disclaimer, the stuff I will talk about from this point on is not coming from a place of hate, but rather a place of criticism from my point of view. If you disagree, then the comment section will be where the debating starts, as I check all of the comments and reply to a good bit of them. So now if I see any stupid ass comments from this point on, I'll just mark you as a bitch and ignore you and just let other people in the comments handle that for me. With that out of the way, let's start with Julian's basketball career as a whole. Again, I'll acknowledge that scoring 4,000 points and setting a record for that in Florida is a great accomplishment, and no one can take that away from him. However, as I like to say for anyone with a mixtape, there's context behind the numbers and there's context behind the highlights, which is where I want to start this discussion. Now, to start things off, Jamie Newman has been coaching Julian since he's been playing varsity as a 10-year-old. With that, Julian was allowed to do anything and everything he wanted to do on the court with rarely any repercussions. And by this, I mean Julian ran the whole entire show. He scored most of the time, he played for most of the possessions, etc. On one hand, you can market him as this great scorer and facilitator with all the numerous mixtapes you had made on him throughout his high school years. But the real story is that the show was based around him from the start, as his dad controlled the team, which in turn meant that Julian controlled the whole team. Through Julian's leadership in the main years where he truly started to become mainstream, being his junior and senior year, he led the team to a record of 22 and 43 overall, according to MaxPreps.com. And if you also consider the fact that they played in one of the worst high school divisions in Florida, being the Sunshine Independent Division, he went 4 and 24. Then you can see that Julian Newman as a basketball player is not meant to lead. When it comes to basketball, Jamie taught his kid just to be good for highlights, not good for the sport. He doesn't win games, he creates highlight reels. And the most damning evidence, of course, is the fact that Jamie Newman is the coach of the team that allows this to happen. This is the true definition of a coach's son and father duo. This is the reason that Julian never got offers to play literally anywhere. It's because he doesn't win games, he stat pads. And another point I like to add to the bad of Jamie Newman, the constant controversies him and his children get into. Now, the stuff his son Julian is known for is getting the altercations on the court, whether it be fighting, getting technical fouls, etc. And I know this may be controversial to say since I am not a father myself, but where's the fucking discipline when it comes to dealing with Julian? Short and simple answer, there isn't any. So many times he's gotten a technical or gotten into trouble on the court, and the dad rarely bats an eye. Which again, I know I'm not a father, but that isn't really teaching Julian anything, like self-control. Now again, this isn't good for college offers. If your goal was to somehow get your son a college offer, whether it be D1, D2, D3, NIAI, JUCO, whoever the fuck cares, then it's not a good idea to tarnish your son's image by letting him do dumb stuff on the court, whether it be how he plays, his conduct on the court, or adding the losing as a cherry on top, which makes the perfect recipe for scouts and coaches not wanting to touch Julian with a 10-foot pole. I also mentioned in my last video where I talked about Julian in the chair situation. For context, when Julian played IMG last year, Julian Newman was fouled and an altercation started in which a chair was thrown at an opposing player. Now at first everyone pointed the finger at Julian for what happened, but fun fucking fact, he didn't even do it.
Get right with his ass! Oh shit! No nigga! No! Oh shit! Oh, you got that shit fucked up!
They took a situation that didn't even belong to them and used it online for clout. I'ma say it again. They made it seem like Julian Newman threw a chair and literally assaulted someone for clout. Then you have the fighting videos and other little minor situations sprinkled in, and then you create a situation for your kid that has them shrouded in a bad light. The chair situation was the pinnacle. Everything else was just normal basketball stuff, while the IMG situation was, well, straight up assault. Now again, if you was this kid's father, is that the way you want your son to be represented online, or for him to be known for by people? Rather to be known as the guy who has one of the most points by a Florida high school player, he is known for his altercations on the court, his flashy play, and his inefficiency. And also getting outplayed for better competition, but I think that's a given. And one more thing I want to mention about his basketball career, and I'll go on and say, this is the few questions of morality that I'll ask, but was the goal for Julian even to play overseas or in college? Again, consider what I said about Jamie literally being the coach of his son for the longest time, and yet, as he started to act out and become more of a nuisance on the court and an internet personality, Jamie did nothing. No discipline, no accountability, no benching, just to let him keep doing what he wanted to do. All that training in the gym, so many hours as a kid, for basically nothing. And lastly, let's talk about a subject that I myself did not want to touch upon, even in my first Newman video where I basically said anything I felt like. This subject is about his daughter, Jada Newman. Now, I'm aware that on the internet it is basically taboo to talk about a woman the way I'm about to say, so just brace yourself a little bit. But I think Jamie Newman is low-key using his daughter as a sex symbol for profit. And what makes this worse is that she is underage. Now, I know this is more of a problem with the outlets using her likeness on thumbnails to attract the young and horny, and even the old and horny population on YouTube with her, See, the problem is I can't say the issue because I am 21 and she's like 16. So just to avoid the FBI coming to my house, y'all just put 2 and 2 together for me. But this is a real problem as Jamie Newman is allowing his daughter to be sexualized online, whether it be thumbnails on Overtime, the Instagram lives, etc. But I think the most damning thing about all this that I was so appalled about is the fact that she was trending on the hub at one point. And there are whole communities of people talking about her online. There are even subreddits that were basically worshiping her and showing pictures of her in revealing pictures. Luckily, the bigger ones are taken down, but this is just absolutely sick. And remember, she is 16. There are videos online of her, there are communities online who talk about her and share videos of her, sexualizing her, and many more. And guess what? It's because Jamie Newman allows it. I've said this many times on stream, follow me by the way, but I'd never have my kids online like that being sexualized by an online community, and especially let Overtime have my daughter's chest used as clickbait. But leave it to him to use that to his advantage for a check. With that being said, I hope I satisfied everyone talking about her, as I know people wanted me to go more in depth about her since no one really knows about it. Just know it is very sick how she's being used, and her talents on the court is being disregarded for a real way to make money, and unfortunately, as they say in the industry, sex sells, even in the case of an underage girl. To start this conclusion off, I'd like to bring back a quote I said in another Newman family video. I can respect a good hustle, but I don't have to respect how it's done. A lot of people in the comment section talked about how they would gladly do what Jamie did with Julian and how he is providing for his family at the end of the day. I understand that, yes, he is probably living big in Orlando right now with all the stuff he has done, but when you look deeper, is all the stuff he done really all that good? He turned his son into one of the biggest basketball jokes on the internet, despite how much he did statistically by having him get into controversies and lowering his stock for an actual basketball career. And he is now just doing nothing basketball related unless you count beating Cash Nasty as an accomplishment, which means all that training as a kid came to nothing to an actual basketball career. And for Jada Newman, someone who could have easily made a basketball career for herself, ended up getting older and maturing. She went from a future women's basketball star to jack-off material to horny niggas and pedos. I understand if you still don't consider Jamie Newman as one of the worst basketball fathers ever, but I wanted to give this a second chance since I realized my first swing at this subject wasn't exactly the best. So I hope I did a better job in informing you all on why I believe Jamie Newman is the worst basketball father. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned something new, as my vision for this channel is to inform and entertain. And for my final question, I guess what are your final thoughts on this subject being with Julian, Jaden, Jamie, or your whole family in general? Why in the fuck do they have so many J's in their names? Let me stop. All replies will be appreciated in the comment section below as I read all of them and respond to a good bit of them. Again, like the video for more weekly basketball content, check out my social medias for the inside life of Alvini and other channel news, check out my Twitch where I stream weekly and have to go through shit like this all the time.
Nigga, you fucking suck, nigga! Train, guard me, nigga! Train, guard me, fuck, nigga! Guard me! Train! Guard me! You fucking suck, nigga! You're terrible! Delete the game! I spun the block and I spun on your ass!
And lastly, if you want to talk to your boy, there is always my Discord. Links in the description. With that out of the way, this is your boy, Alvini Linguine, saying peace. Also, this will be the last Newman video I shall ever make, no matter fucking what.